What's happening, y'all? This is Todd Wilson with another episode of Elevate Your Game. Today, we have a former pro, now the head coach of Burroughs down in Burbank, Austin Pope. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you, family. I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Austin, we've been connected maybe for about a year or so, more recently, but have definitely connected in that time. And he's a hooper, man. We'll just put it to you like that. He belongs on this show, and we're gonna talk about his journey. We put the show together to inspire the next generation, to give them the real information they need to get to the next level and to reach their goals and to just talk hoop. So,
man, I'm appreciative to be on it, man. I've been tuning in, and I'm thankful.
Awesome. So we start this off with the wall of hoop movies. Your favorite hoop movie of all time and why? There's a couple missing. We always like to mention this. Rebound with Martin Lawrence. Just Right with Common and Queen Latifah. Space Jam 2's not up there.
Yeah.
There's a more recent movie with Woody Harrelson as well. That's not up there. So a couple movies, but I'm pretty sure your favorite.
No, yeah. Man, you put me on the spot to start it off, man. I'd say out of all of them, I'd say Love and Basketball probably hits the home the hardest. My mom went to Crenshaw High School back in the day, and she was a two-time All-City player, so we watched that a lot growing up. So I grew up in that Crenshaw district, so seeing them and seeing the Crenshaw in the gym. I'm a big USC fan too.
Okay.
So I think that one hits home. But I'd say if I had a close second, probably Space Jam.
Yeah.
Because that was so nostalgic for me as a kid, just growing up in Burbank in the LA area, and seeing Mike, because that's my GOAT of all time, greatest player of all time. And
Speak on it.
Because
these youngsters don't know.
No, they don't. And I'm a young buck, but I pay homage to the game, and that movie was so special. Just from the intro to him shooting on the basketball court, and then the soundtrack is chef's
So
kiss.
you sure it's Love and Basketball, or do you think it's Space Jam?
I think, okay, so Love and Basketball too, because a bit about me is that, my now fiance is in sports, and
dope.
she is a coach, head assistant coach at Cal Lutheran University, Coach Sanchez. So Love and Basketball, our story and how it intertwined, I think it just ties into our life. So it's a lot of sentimental stuff with that movie as well, for sure.
Dope. So I always have this question. So when he's frustrated because, all the things that's happening in college and he breaks up with her, you doing the same thing?
No, I'm not doing that, man. And Quincy needed some guidance, man.
Thank you.
My brother needed some guidance. He needed, to go to Bible study or something. He needed to get right with the man above. You know what I mean? Because, that's the time when I feel like you got to connect more and not run away. But us as black men, sometimes I feel like we stray away from that and we get in our shell and our box instead of holding the ones closest to us. So
Absolutely. My wife hates that movie.
for that reason,
she says that he didn't really love her. Like, why did she have to play him for his heart and all that? And then he won, and then he want to act like he loved her. She hates that movie, but I'm like, she ain't a hooper at all. I'm like, you don't get it, all right? If you hoop for love, that means something. So
real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Awesome. So when did you fall in love with basketball?
Age of three. I was a young man, young hooper. My mom played. I referenced that. My uncle played at Long Beach State. He knows a lot of college coaches like Donnie Daniels and those guys that are now in the college game. He played against them. And then I had three cousins that were like immediate family, the McGee. So Anthony McGee went to Eastern Washington. Antoine McGee went to Colorado Boulder. And then my youngest cousin of them went to Louisville, Andre McGee.
Yeah, I say, oh, man.
That's family,
So
man.
you got a hoop family.
Man, I grew up in it, and I was always like the little young one. Even though I'm taller than all of them, I was always, they had a backyard at my uncle's house where I fell in love with the game, and they had a basketball court with no backboard on it. So,
you had to have a strap.
You had to have a strap. You had to. You know what I'm saying? You got to play defense, so you got to have a strap. So I've been in love with the game since I was 3. Absolutely.
Man, that's dope. And so when do you think you start taking the game seriously as far as development goes? When did that start happening? I know back in the day, we used to just hoop, right? When did you have your first trainer, developer?
Man, first trainer, I would actually have to say, and he tied into being my coach, is Jason Hart.
Oh.
Yeah, Jay Hart. That's my guy, big bro, mentor kind of guy. I ended up playing for him in AU, but he used to go to Burbank High School camps and speak as a guest speaker. And I was in like fifth, sixth grade, and I was MVP at the camp. and he lived locally in the Valley area, and I would go to the Burbank YMCA, and he saw me from the camp, and then he was like, "Hey, young fella, like, let's work on a couple things." He taught me how to play off 2 feet, things that he still preaches to this day, that guards need to have, and he just taught me the game, and that was the first time I really was like learning how to like do certain things on the court. Was through Jay Hart, 100%.
Man, that's dope. Shout out. Jay Hart was our second guest on the show, so he blessed us. Yeah,
phenomenal dude, man.
No, awesome, man. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So you had an NBA player as your like first mentor, kind of influence that brought you everything. Let me ask you this: who taught you how to shoot? Because I always take this when somebody's parents played.
Yeah.
Did mom teach you how to shoot?
Mom taught me how to shoot because mom had the strap, man. My mom had the jumper. They called her Lil Cooper back in high school. She was number 21, and she had a silky smooth jumper. And she always taught me how to line it up, big hand on the ball, follow through, guide hand, everything. She was phenomenal in that. So I appreciate that. Shout out to mom.
When did you start hitting the grassroots scene with AAU basketball?
So I started when I was we had a small town team called Slam Squad in Burbank. Most people don't know about by the name of a coach by the name of Bryant Early. Very religious man, about a 6'8", 6'9" white dude that played back in the day, and he just had a love for the game, and he brought a bunch of kids from the Valley area to go play on the AU circuits, right? So we had a bunch of star kids. We had three college players, myself, my boy Andre Spite, and Lawrence White. Lawrence White ended up playing at UC Davis. Dre played at Arizona State, and then Northern Colorado, and myself playing at Chaminade. So, and we had Jack Flaherty on our team, which is now the pitcher for the Orioles. We had a very good group of guys, and we hit the scene in 5th, 6th grade. Used to play locally, and we were really tough.
Dope.
Really tough.
Dope. Anybody that you remember playing against during that time that is a pro or a high level player now?
At that time, I think we played against Tyler Dorsey because we're about the same age.
Man.
Yeah, TD tough. He was tough at that age too, and I mean, we had our battles for sure. I can't think. I think we played against. We played against Marcus Levette too on the young grassroots scene. So there was some tough guys, tough matchups for us early on until before I hit the high school scene, where that was like that AAU scene was different for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Southern California, people don't, like you just said. You had 3 college players and a MLB pitcher on your team, just a local small team. Like, it is saturated out here with talent, man. And sometimes we get overlooked because of that. It's like, man, they're comparing us to our peers in this area where you can't do that. If you took your game to Montana, you'd be that dude. You know what I mean?
Be crazy. We'd be crazy over there.
Right. And no offense to Montana.
No.
I don't know any hoopers they produce, but any which way. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's that saturation factor in Southern California. But I think it just builds us to be good. And your journey, you still got to be a pro, regardless of where you landed in the totem pole in Southern California ball.
Absolutely, because of how saturated and how good it is, man. It's best hoops in the States, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. In the world.
Yeah,
you talk about in the States, I'm gonna say the world.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm gonna be bold with it. We on the game. We on elevate the game.
There we go. All right. So now stepping into middle school, let me ask this: what kind of player are you on the court? I know people, y'all could go look at his Instagram and see who he is now. What kind of player were you as a younger kid, and did that stay consistent through your whole career?
I think it did, and me and my friend, one of my close friends, Jay, we talk about it all the time. Like, I think my game that I have now was exactly the same. It just now it was more enhanced, more evolved, more strong, more strength. But I've always been a very versatile player, a two-way player. I've always played defense, and I've always scored the rock. But also on top of scoring and being a facilitator, just being able to be a stat sheet stuffer. I think I've just naturally just been that way. It's weird. I've never practiced it. One of my strong suits as a player is rebounding. And as a guard, guards don't like to get their fingernails dirty and go get in there and rebound. We're always told to be the first one back. Yes. But I was always the tallest player on my teams coming up. So I would grab rebounds and then push the break. Yeah. So my idol growing up was Magic Johnson in that regard, because he was so cerebral and pushing the break and having fun in transition. So I think that translated to my middle school and how I play now until this day. So
man, that's awesome. Where do you think that I guess, because it sounds like you're a worker, right? You want to do that, does a little bit of everything, kind of does the dirty work on the court. Where do you think that came from? Is there some moment in your childhood or a way that you were brought up that kind of brought that mindset to the game?
I think so. I was actually also having this conversation with my kids that I play, that I have for high school. Most kids nowadays don't know how to even play the game of 21, right? The game
Yep.
of 21.
Yep.
So I think 21 developed my game and my mindset because I'm playing against my peers, my cousins. We in the backyard in LA and we get into it, four of us, and we playing the 21. And you have to learn how to rebound. You got to learn how to, tip the ball. You got to learn how to score in space. You got to, and to get down the game point, you got to play through contact,
Right.
you get to 20, it's contact with being involved. So I think learning how to play, around multiple people, essentially being able to play in crowds, I think it helped me out, really expedited my growth. Absolutely. And then I think just playing pickup with guys, older guys in the park. I was one of those park kids where I just go to the park and play with the older dudes. And then when I'm on the court with the older dudes, I can't always have the ball in my hands, right? So I got to be effective without the ball. How do you be effective without the ball? You got to go get a rebound. You put it up and score. Now you got the OGs respect a little bit more.
Right.
You're making the extra pass. And then I think that's how my game kind of just evolved naturally.
Awesome. Yeah. And then working through middle school on your way to high school. So you just picked the local high school that you lived by. It wasn't a, nowadays, it's recruiting and finding the school and all that. How was that transition into high school for you?
It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. It was still, even though I'm young, I'm older, but I'm still young in the regard of this generation. I still caught like the social media aspect and the recruiting aspect of it because, yes, I lived maybe 2 blocks away from Burbank High School, but due to my AAU status, and I went to a couple camps where I was recognized locally and also on the West Coast. There was schools that took liking by the time I hit summer league. So Alamany, my guy Coach Meeks, that's my guy. Notre Dame at the time, Coach Bill Bedgood.
Yeah.
Harvard Westlake, this is before they got really big. Those are teams that were all in our summer league. And, Crespi, Coach White, and Loyola's, like there was a bunch of schools that were trying to take me out of my pocket. But my coach, Jose Hernandez at the time, he had me since I was in 5th grade at the Young Dogs camp. And he told me, man, if you come in here and work hard, you're going to have a varsity spot. And then from there, you're going to be able to grow, which is what you want. I'll be able to develop you. I'm not afraid of that aspect, which most coaches are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let you play. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to let you play through mistakes, but also teach you the game. And I felt like I was a very loyal guy in that regard. So I chose
awesome.
Burbank High School.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, you don't see it much. I think, the one who comes most recent, Elijah Arenas, going to Chatsworth High, right? And being able to do him and, Gil's a big part of that, that mindset of, hey, go somewhere where you're gonna have the ball in your hand, you're gonna be able to learn, make mistakes. And I mean, you could see the jump from his freshman to sophomore year of just that. And so it's a very interesting concept always because you have to balance the competition level in practice as well.
Yeah.
Because you're usually that dude, and it's your teammates may not be on your skill level. So where do you get that competition from in practice on a day-to-day basis? But when the games come, you got the ball in your hand, you in the war.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that aspect that Gil's brought because I've always had that mentality with my parents too. It's like, and also the mentality, if they're good enough, they'll find you. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
If they're good enough, they will find you. All kids out there.
So high school, rolling into high school, were you able, what level did you play as a freshman?
Started out JV and then I ended up being on varsity essentially halfway through the year. So I was like a 4-year varsity guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. And we kind of hit the ground running. I was a young Bambi, kind of guy. I started out high school at about 5'9", 5'10", which was tall for my grade. And then from 5'10", I was wearing a size 9.5. And then by the time midway through my freshman year, I went to 6'2", and I was wearing a size 14.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I was, I had a big growth spurt, and I was always long and athletic, and I kind of started to fill out my body, and then I hit the ground running from there for sure. Yeah.
Nice. And then so any memorable games the early part of your high school career, freshman, sophomore year, and some battles. I think your sophomore year is when you guys made it to the Final Four of the CIF playoffs. And so what was that experience like?
Man, it was an experience that probably top 5 moment in my career. Absolutely, just being a part of that experience and playing an integral piece in that. I wasn't just a guy on the team; I was a starter. I was an all-league guy for us, all CIF member. So, we had a very strong point guard at the time. That was a senior, Argan Gregorian, and he was special. He made spectacular play, and he was our leader. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I helped with that and being. I always reference that team to a 2014 or Spurs. because we shared the basketball. We always played the game the right way. Through our coach, we had a really good dribble drive system. And I was young Kawhi Leonard on that team, where I was asked to guard every team's best player. But then on the offensive side of the ball, I was very good at slashing, getting to the basket, and picking my spots. And as the season progressed, as it got to winning time, playoff time, my role started just getting more prominent and prominent. And I think the game that solidified that was we played against Canyon High School on the road. And we were in like a dud. We were in like it was like a low spot in the game. And I was locking up their best player at the time. And then I went on to have like a 9-0 run, hit a 3, and then they had to call a timeout after the 3. Then I come out, get a few steals in a row, got an and one, and then they had to call burn another one. And I think the confidence was just brewing in me from that. And then another moment that I'm not afraid to admit is we played against Compton High School, which is, historically very, very good at that time, and Anthony January, and they had a really strong team. And the first play of the game was drawn up for me. We were doing dribble handoffs, and until the ball got to my corner, and I was going to backdoor and go dunk it. First play of the game to kind of set the mood, and I went up and tried to go dunk it, and I missed it. I got hung. And, it was a very humbling moment for me, to say the least. I got hung, and, I had to realize that, like, you're not bigger than the game. You got to prepare. I thought I was going to just walk into things because I've been doing well, but the game will humble you in a heartbeat. So
during this time, what was your work ethic like outside of games? Like, how often were you training? What time were you training? What was your training regimen?
My training regimen. So my mom worked in downtown LA, City National Bank, as a private banker, right down on Flower Street. So in order for her to get to work before 8 a.m., she was dropping me off at the local YMCA, and that's right half a block away from my high school. So I was in the gym working out as soon as they worked up, or as soon as the gym opened up at 5 a.m. every day. And I would just work, and I had creativity because I didn't have a trainer. So I knew what I needed to work on, so I would just do certain moves and have my imagination. That's why I think the way I play is so free-flowing and so different, because I'm playing as if, like, I'm imagining that people are in front of me, and, like, I'm playing against my imagination. And I think kids nowadays, to complement training, they don't have an imagination.
Right.
Like, you'll tell a kid, I want you to go to this spot and do a 2-dribble pull-up. And it's like, okay, but that can look a lot different for each kid. Right? Like, this painting on this wall, if you ask a bunch of kids to paint this picture, it might look different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your 2-dribble pull-up is going to look different. So for me, that's the approach that I had as a basketball player at that time, was just work as hard as possible and keep my creativity and my curiosity at an all-time high.
How do you do that with your players now? How do you apply that to your training and development?
I mean, I do the same thing. My kids know we have Breakfast Club, where I open up the gym optionally from 5 a.m. to 7:30 right before zero period. And it took liking to one kid, and then now if you go on there any given day during the week, you probably got 25, 30 kids in my program up at 5, 6 a.m. Getting it in. We have a side that gets work in with me, and then we'll have a side that plays games. And I want kids to play competition, whether it's 1-on-1 with 3 dribbles, or we play 4-on-4 once it gets a little crowded. Learn how to play through actions, play through space, and just play the game. I think kids nowadays, they don't play it enough. You know what I mean? Like, they train, which is a beautiful aspect, but they need to also apply it 100%. In a real game flow, and try those things, and don't be afraid to mess up. So
100% balance on that. I think a lot of people are like, yep, I got the best trainer, the best developer, and that's great. You're learning the skills, but if you cannot put them on the court and apply them regularly, like as a part of your game, then there's an imbalance. And we talk about that with core. That's what we do. We take it slow at first. We do a lot of fundamental work, because these kids come into middle school, 8th graders who don't know how to jump stop, don't know how to finish off 2 feet, don't know how to do certain things, know how to shoot. Like, we start there, but after that, everything's a competition. Everything has a shadow on you. Everything has a read. And that's what you're learning, how to read and feel. Like you said, everybody has a different move or feel to their body. And so making sure that they are able to figure themselves out. Fridays is pickup. Sideline, pickup, 5-on-5, winner's court, loser's court, and just play. We don't coach unless it gets really, really ugly. It does sometimes. Like, yo, man, pass the ball, man. Nobody wants to see you dribble 15 times. But just letting them play, and I think that's the part. Like you said, I ain't even gonna say it on camera. We're gonna talk, because I like the idea of, like, playing 21. And I think there's a space for that, real space for that.
A real space, man. it's a thing that the great ones have all had to do. I mean, and I take it a step further for yourself too, because I've also been blessed enough to coach one of your proteges in Aeneas, right? And Aeneas has core prep written all over him, the things that you just mentioned, right? Playing off two, very good pace, very good creativity. He just has a winning knack for winning a possession. But also, like for you, right? I know it's your pod, but I have to ask you, right? You being able to still, because I watch your page, you still get up. I've seen you dunk. I've seen you do things. Being able to
that's camera tricks. Karina make me dunk. That's not real.
Shout out to Chaminade. Stop it, man. For me, as a basketball player, seeing Jay Hart at that age, being able to show me how to do a move versus just tell me to get to a spot is way different because I'm so visual, right? And kids are so visual nowadays on social media. So by them, you telling them, I see your videos, you show them this is how you come to a stop, and then you'll go through a live action. It's like, this is what he means.
Yes.
Like that's a blessing. The kids don't get that type of blessing all the time. So I just had to give you flowers on your show for that.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. No, I learned that from the OG, man. Chris Johnson really showed me that. The trainers that I would work for before really weren't hoopers, and they just knew how to work people out. And conditioning is one thing, which is super important for somebody who already has the talent and skills. But showing somebody how to do something, because everybody communicates different. You got to be able to verbalize it. You got to be able to show it. You got to be able to connect it with something. And so those are the things that I really focused on. And actually, Drew Hanlon, through me just watching Drew Hanlon stuff online, is the one who really helped me communicate, because he's so
cerebral in that,
man. So I took a little bit of everybody and kind of created my own stuff. I've always had it too. Before I even started watching them, I would notice my kids doing that because I just wanted to explain it. Like, I grew up, everything I do now is because I didn't have it. I grew up where nobody was telling me why I was doing stuff. They would teach me, and I'm a quick learner, but I didn't understand basketball until I was 24, 25. Until I started, like right before I started training, I really understood the game. I could hoop. Don't jump with me, I'm a dunk on you. Like, I can go. Defensively, I knew a little bit more, but nobody really explained to me why am I attacking that spot? Where's like, oh yeah, there's help defense, but what's the angle I take? Nobody showed me that until later in life. And then it all came together. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to give it to somebody else because I can't use it. I'm old.
Nah, man, stop it, man. Stop it. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm old, man. I'm 73 in these knees,
man. Basketball years.
In basketball years, I'm 73, man. So, no, man. Let's back to high school. So, your freshman year, so you played for the Pump Brothers.
Yes.
That you played with them through the entirety of high school.
Through my careers, yes, awesome. Yes. We had some special teams. They had a variation in the Valley Pump and Run at the time, and then I graduated to go to play on with Jason Hart, right? But before I get to that, it's so crazy how the young game and the young coaches. I'm a big fan of young coaches because I think that, like Coach Prince, for example, they're young and they're energetic and they're fun. So the coaches that were at Double Pump at that time were Bill Bedgood, which is now Valencia State Championship, David Rabibo, which is just one of your recent guys as well. And I don't even need to say what he is to the game. He was El Camino, you know what I mean, at the time. And he was figuring it out, I'm sure, and going through his process. And then you look literally less than a decade later and look what he's built out. And that's just so beautiful to see. But those are like the staples of the Valley Pump and Run. And then we started, and Ryan Silver was still a part of that before he went over to West Coast Elite. And we had some unbelievable teams. We had teams with Spencer Dinwiddie, Amir Garrett, Xavier Johnson. And then my senior year team, we had Mamadou Ndiaye, who went to UC Irvine, 7'6". Elijah
Wait, he went to high school out here?
Yeah, he went to high school at, it was a school out in like green and white school. I can't think of the name, but he came.
Rebbe?
No. He went to it was like a real private school. Like he went to a school.
It was in the Valley?
I want to say it was in the Valley or OC. And it was like a D5 school.
Got you. Okay.
And he was going crazy. That's why if you look at his highlights out there, he's going crazy. And obviously he was a cheat code in the AU circuit for a guard. You just throw it up close your eyes, throw it up, and they'll go get it. And then we had Elijah Brown as a modern day. Tyron Wallace went to Cal Berkeley. And then Brandon Randolph, which was extremely special. He ended up he went to St. Bernard's, went to Inglewood, and then went to Xavier, and so on and so forth. We had a really stacked team all throughout my high school career for sure.
Yeah, so the circuit back then was just a regular circuit. It wasn't shoe based then, was it?
We were Adidas. So
That was
we were
Adidas, okay.
Adidas my junior year. That's when we started getting a lot of that love and that Adidas juice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Going to different tournaments. We played a tournament out in Florida. That was like a big Adidas event, and then that was 64 Adidas Super 64.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Played against Dream Vision and all those kind of teams. So it started really, really taking off like when I was like a sophomore, junior with the shoe stuff.
Got it. So when did you start getting recruited by colleges? When did that whole action start for you?
Sophomore going into junior year. So after I had the playoff run, I went to a Pangos camp, the Pangos All-American, and also it was like a West Coast sophomore event, and I did very well. I got written up by Dinos and a couple of different writers, Joe Francisco, that was at ESPN, as like a sleeper in my class. And then from there, my first ever letter I got in the mail was actually from a D3. It was from Occidental.
Okay.
And then slowly after that, it followed Pepperdine, Long Beach State. I had Harvard. I had some really good, at the time, Yanni Hifnago, he was at Harvard. That's when it really kind of started taking off a little bit, for sure, sophomore year.
Dope. And then so going into your junior year, you guys just coming off the CIF run. What was the expectation going into that junior year, and how did it turn out for you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. We later did that year. We had probably on paper one of the most talented teams to ever come out of the Burbank district, but I think the expectation for us to do better, and now we had more pieces, more younger pieces, more cerebral, versatile pieces. I think the expectation was high, and I think it was hard. It was essentially like in the basketball terms, like the Brooklyn Nets, where you had so much talent and so many egos, and it just didn't blend in the time that it needed to. We needed to take a couple years of it for it to really, versus the year before, that group had been together from freshman year to senior year. They had camaraderie. You kind of put us these pieces together and expect us to win, and we ended up losing in the second round in Mission Viejo. Statistically, it was a good year for me. I mean, but I'm more of my mom always taught me it doesn't matter what you do as long as you got to win. Yeah. So you can have 30 points and 20 rebounds, but if you didn't win, wipe that game out. I mean, it's cool, but you got to win the game. You got to win the game.
Right,
that game, that year was not a good one for us.
And then senior year, what was that?
Good. Great. We finished it out the right way. For me, my senior year was a little untraditional because I played out my senior year. I was a young kid for my grade. I should have probably been held back. So I was just turned 17, like as the season was ending, kind of thing.
Oh wow! Yeah, June birthday?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, I'm a June kid. Dang. So that's where part of that process. We're heading into high school. People were asking me to get held back with the recruiting aspect of the private schools because I was so young. Mm-hmm. So when the season ended, I departed and went to a prep school. Okay. Like literally right when season ended, my senior year flow was over. I was like, all right, well, I'm young enough. I reclassed. I knew I didn't have the academics that I should have.
Okay, I was about to ask. So you had all these Division I's recruiting you, academics. So what was the opportunity there for you? What was that like?
Man, I mean, and that's why I think I got into the coaching space, is to show kids that, you're not invincible in the game no matter how good you are. Because I thought just because I could put the ball in the hole and I knew how to do certain things, that things were just going to be gifted to me. But it doesn't work like that, because you still got to go to class as a student athlete for a reason. And I think I was drinking the Kool-Aid a lot in high school, where I was the guy, and I'm one of few black kids at the school, and everybody's kind of like taking pictures with me, and you the guy, and they pumping me up in the newspaper. But then I'm not going to class like I'm supposed to, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm slacking off, thinking that I could just coast through assignments when I'm graded on a scale just like everybody else. So I fell behind in that regard, and then came that decision time. Like I had Colorado. That's the time they took Spencer, right? And I was a year younger. And, I'm thinking, all right, they're going to just give me a scholarship or something. And when it came to that, I actually have a funny story, but when it came to the transcripts, they were like, this is your sliding score SAT that you need. And I wasn't the hugest test taker. So went into the SAT, laid a dud. And then it was funny, before I get to that, Harvard really liked me. And then, as people know, that's a very prestigious academic school. Right. And I was not a studious individual at the time. And I used to get letters from them all the time. And I remember I had a teammate that actually ended up going to Brown. And I would give him my letters because I was like, man, you're going to need this more than me. You can maybe fill out these questionnaires, because I'm definitely not going to be going out of high school. But then I took a very humbling approach out of that and learned. And I ended up going to junior college. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
What prep school did you go to?
So it was a cross between, at the time, it was Stonebridge Prep and La Jolla Prep.
Okay.
So they expanded Stonebridge and go to La Jolla by a guy named Gary Truesdale. It probably wasn't the best situation for me. If I would have gone back, I would have did research, more research, because I had South Kent at the time. I had, at the time. But I was a kid from LA, and I didn't know what that is. You telling me to go out there, and I'm like,
You should have hit the rail.
I know, man. I was tripping. My trajectory would have been a little different.
Right.
All I knew was here.
Yeah.
All I knew, I'm only child. All I knew was here. So I was like, I'm gonna just go to this spot, and I turned it out. We still had some really good teams, but ultimately it didn't. It ended up flopping as far as their academic situation. They were at a charter school, but it wasn't accredited. So it's just this whole.
Let's talk about that. No, I think this is perfect because we haven't had this opportunity to talk about something like that on this show. I talk about it personally all the time. Is make sure you guys know there's a lot of prep schools popping up. The academic piece is central. They can tell you everything they want about basketball and what they're providing and the national schedule, exposure, their connection to college coaches. But if the accreditation isn't clean on the academic side, which you can go check online by yourself on the NCAA portal, go check, ask them a simple question. What's your NCAA school code? If you ask them their school code, they should have one on hand ready to go. That school code will let you know what classes are accredited, so you could be qualified for college. And also go check with the colleges that are interested in you and make sure they accept those classes. It's all online. Ask for the NCAA school code, whatever prep school that there is. Now, a lot of them are super legit now. I think they've remedied that problem for the most part, but just be careful with that when it comes to the academic side.
Absolutely.
I am free. I will do that for free to check the academic side for y'all. So
hit
me up if you guys have questions about that, because it's your future we're talking about. It's not about the rest of this stuff. It's about the academic part. So we're here as your resource for that.
No, I'm looking at this camera. That's $1 million worth of game right there, man. He just gave y'all young fellas $1 million worth, and that I wish I could have gone back, but that's why I'm doing what I do, and just speaking to the kids and shining light on it, because it needs to be shown, because I went into it just off of the basketball aspect. Okay, you're going to be playing against this. You're going to be playing, and that's all I thought about. That's all I cared about was the basketball piece, but having the academic piece allows you to then explore your options basketball-wise, and the accreditation conversation was very tough because I found out essentially like halfway through the season. So I'm like, man, if I would have, known this, I would have just went to junior college straight out instead of trying to like nimble my way through and just slide in, But that's a very, very key thing. Very, very key.
Yeah. And so your next step was junior college. So how did that come about? You went to Northern Idaho, North Idaho, right? And so how'd you get to Idaho? Let's talk about it.
Man, listen here, man. So before I get into that too, man, junior college for kids, do not shy away from it if you have it. Please don't, because it'll make or break you, but for the most time, it's always going to make you. I'm telling you right now. There's junior college kids, they're built a little different. And now they have access to the last chance user of the world, and they get the chance to see it more live action. But for me, so how junior college came up is because Coach Tad Boyle at the time at Colorado was like, okay, we're up in here in this Pacific Northwestern region. We want to still actively recruit you. These are the list of junior colleges that we can actively recruit from. There's Colorado Northwestern, which wasn't very good. Southern College of Southern Idaho, where Pierre Jackson went, and a lot of
Trinkle.
So
I played for his son at Dodge City Community College.
Really?
When he was the assistant. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Small world, man. Wow. And then North Idaho College. So I also had like Indian Hills. A lot of national junior colleges were interested in me at the time, and now I know that they've opened up the platform for California JUCOs to be essentially like national, where you're free. You're going to school for free.
Oh,
you don't have to pay as much, or pay. Which at the time, that was my biggest thing, because every local college wanted me, but I was like, I kind of didn't go local. I stayed local for prep school. I'm going to take the leap of faith and go somewhere further for junior college. So I went to Brad Winton's, he had a camp, a junior college showcase. It's the top 100 for incoming freshmen. And I went in there, and then I went absolutely crazy. And I was slated as a top 10 junior college player ranking-wise, right before the season started. And from there, I had my pick of the litter of where I wanted to go. And the coach and one of the players on my team was from North Idaho College, Bryce Levitt. And he was like, look, man, I'm actually just here to get an offer, but I'm leaving. and I play a very similar style to you, 6'4", 6'5" guard. He's like, look, I really want you to go here. I'm gonna put you in contact with the coach again. We spoke, and then that's kind of how North Idaho happened.
Man, what was your experience like in North Idaho?
Life changing. I mean, it changed my whole life. You know, it gave me because, you know, for kids that don't, if you're non-qualifier, which I was, you have to go for 2 years. You can't just graduate and, you know, leave out of there in a year or whatever. You can't just, after 1 year, transfer. So it took me a step back, humbled me. There's not a lot going on in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It's a beautiful spot, but there's maybe, you know, 2,000, 3,000 people in the city.
Wow.
You know, it's a very small, tight-knit group, but it's very close to Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And, you know, I got a chance to, with that being said, I got a chance to really focus on what needed to be focused on, which was academics, which was basketball. So my academics were on point, and then also my basketball was at an all-time premium because now I'm playing with guys that are getting recruited from Rainier Beach. I had a lot of Rainier Beach kids that came to our program. We had Bryant and Rodas ended up going to Florida State. DeJohn Piper, he ended up playing coming to Minnesota, Fuquana. We had our starting five was 6'4" and above at the junior college level.
Sheesh.
Yeah, we had 2 7-footers coming off the bench. Like, we were very long, very
This is
athletic.
a freshman year?
Yes, we were nasty. Both years I was there, we were absolutely nasty. I put money that our team could have been a collegiate 4-year school as easily.
Did you guys make it to the national? You made it to
Yeah,
Hutch?
yeah, to Hutch. Yeah. 1 year, but then the second year, it's tough. We had our regional, and a couple players just didn't perform the way we should have, and you know we know who they are, but it's just the way it happens sometimes, and you know you got to be playing the right in the conference tournaments. You got to be playing the right way at the right time, and we just weren't doing that year, and but the recruitment still was amazing. So absolutely,
Awesome.
But it was junior colleges.
For seniors who don't have offers to any schools, or they know they're not going to qualify for the grades, what are the 3 things you can tell them to think about as they're considering junior colleges?
Consider a place that is going to make you better, first and foremost. Like, they're going to develop you. They're not shying away from that, because most people, like I talked about before, they'll sell you the dream, they'll bring you on, but as soon as you're not doing what they thought you were going to do, they'll just push you to the side and recruit over you, right? So there's got to be a development aspect and a want to. So for a kid, you got to think like, okay, look at the coach's track record. Who have they developed? Who have they put out? Number 2 is actually asking the academic piece and being very, very, actually that should be number 1. Actually, just being very transparent about the academic situation at their school and how they are. What is their percentage of graduation? What do I need? Do you have these classes? Because then I want to go to this major at this university for my 4-year. Those are key. And then 3 is get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I think getting out of your comfort zone, you know, I think once you're in your comfort zone, like had I gone to Santa Monica or Glendale College, I don't know if you get this version of me.
Yes.
You know, so just being able to get outside the box, because you learn so much. I have lifelong friends that I met at those places, people that are going to be at my wedding as groomsmen, like, you know what I mean? And you meet lifelong friends, and you have that shared bond that you can't ever get back in those experiences. So
100%. My biggest change for basketball, like I was out here, I was working hard and all that. When I went to Kansas, I moved to Kansas my senior year, changed my life because there was nothing to do, first off. I think going somewhere where is the Midwest and somewhere that's different, where there's not a lot of distractions like LA has for these LA kids, is so important if you really want to do this basketball thing. And your work ethic just goes up for some reason. I don't know what it is exactly. If I could pinpoint it, maybe just the comfortability around being around people, but that you're competing against people you don't know, and you're trying to get some. You want to get out of this place too. You don't want to live in a town with, some people do, but a lot of people don't want to live in a town with 2,000 or 3,000 people. Yeah. So you're trying to get up out of here and go reach your goals and your dreams. So that's very good advice. I think because of the nature of today's game, junior college is a very respectable option for anybody who really wants to pursue their basketball dreams. And it's not easy. It's not easy, especially in California, where most of these schools, they pay for your tuition. Now, your tuition's kind of covered, but you got to pay for housing. Yes. Unless you go Allen Hancock. Shout out to Allen Hancock. Yeah. They treat them like a real college up there. Yeah, but there's several other schools who have situations that are like that, but really look out of state. Go to camps and things like that to be seen. I know West Coast Elite does a good job. They have the JUCO camps and just other options. Really talk about those junior college options because you got to play pro
Man, from JUCO.
from junior college. And I have
Man.
many friends who have and had opportunity to go to major universities and continue their education and playing ball. You have to go there ready to work, though.
Man.
You can't go there and be the same person.
You cannot. You got to grow, and I think it's a lot more grown man in that environment.
Yes.
So it's not a kid friendly environment. It's for people like I had junior college teammates that were bounced back from Division Ones.
Yes.
You know, couple bounced back D1, D2, 22, 23 years old already, and here you are 18, 19, and you're just like, you have to get used to that kind of bump because what happens is colleges nowadays especially are going to be looking for guys that are college ready for the most part because 100%. Of the portal, right? So with the college portal, and then also they're looking for guys that are ready, or they're hitting the junior college portal because they know that the junior college kids are ready. So as a high school kid, if you're not getting that love, go ahead and hop into that junior college environment and get a lot of that experience and learn the game against high quality players that you're playing against people that have played at the levels that you want to play at, and it's going to make you definitely a better player, 1,000%.
Absolutely.
1,000.
So junior college, followed up, you go to Chaminade University.
Yes.
So Chaminade's a Division II, correct?
Yes.
So you had Division I dreams. You had Colorado kind of directing you to a place. What happened to where, it's a great opportunity, not taking away anything from it. You just had Division I opportunities. You had to go to a D2. What led to that?
Okay, so it goes back to, like I said, I tell my story all the time. So when I was going through the North Idaho process, which is why I tell you, no slight to North Idaho, I think there was miscommunication on both fronts, on my front and on their front, about the academic piece. So my academics at North Idaho were outstanding. It wasn't about my academics like it was in high school. It wasn't that I had bad grades. Now I had so much credits that me transferring from a junior college to a Division I at the time with the clock, my clock Division I was 1 year. I had 1 year to play.
Whoa!
So
just because of based off of your
my
credit
credits,
unit.
yes, because I took. So when I first got there, my whole big thing, which I referenced, was I got to graduate. I got to get out of here quick as possible. So I took full-time units right off the back in the summer. I'm talking about from the summer I got there, which started my clock different.
Man.
So that started my clock. So yeah, I had all these transferables and I had everything I needed. But when they got to the compliance center at the four-year university Division I level, they're looking at it like, yeah, you have it, but on track right now, you're already in your junior year. By the time you get to us, you're essentially a semester and a half away from graduating. So you'd be a senior. So it was, when I got there, you're supposed to have 4 full-time semesters that transfer you over.
Right.
I had 5. So you're technically already a junior right when I got in. And so I only had 1 year to play, and that's where Big Mike, Michael Thomas, the shout out to Mike, comes in, because I had my junior college, I told you I was top 10, and in my class, one of the top guards, and I had my Final 5 schools were Creighton, Hawaii, Oklahoma State, TCU, and then I had Arizona State, USC, Montana. I had all these schools that were interested in me, and I'm still very close with all these coaches till this day. Man. And what ended up happening was, so I originally, after our conference tournament, we lost. I had a scheduled visit to go to Creighton for Coach McDermott, and they snowed in, which was very similar to North Idaho. So I was like, dang, like we have to make another adjustment. And my AU teammates and people that I knew, Mike Thomas, and he was at Hawaii.
Right.
And he was telling me the whole time, bro, you got to come. You'll love it. Coach Benji Taylor was there at the time. And then I had Quincy Smith, who I played AU with. I had Aaron Valdez, who I played AU with. We had all these AU guys that were at Hawaii. So I was like, okay, they scheduled me a visit. Before I even went to the visit, after talking to Coach Benji and them on the phone, I committed before I went on the visit to the University of Hawaii. I committed. I was like, this is where I want to be. It's West Coast. And my coach always told me, this is a key thing for kids that are getting recruited, go to the level that's recruiting you the most.
Yep.
Right? So yes, I had outliers of Oklahoma State and TCU. Yes. Coach Ford was very transparent with me at the time. They had Marcus Smart. They had his son Ford. He was like, listen, man, we love you. But most likely you're going to be in that 7th, 8th man role as when you come in. And then most likely, again, you're going to be in a 6th man role. You're not going to start. You're not going to be junior college Austin Pope at Oklahoma State. So
Shout out to that coach for being real. That don't happen no more, man. They be out here lying to these kids.
Capping, man. But he kept it 1,000 with me.
That's awesome.
Coach Greg Marshall from Wichita State at the time. They had Clanthony Early, Ron Baker.
Who recruited you at Wichita State?
Coach GH, Coach here.
Okay. So Kyle Lindstedt was there at Wichita State at the time, and so he coached me in high school when I was in Kansas. He started Sunrise Christian Academy, like that whole thing.
Program.
Yeah, and so he's back at the helm now, but he started it with Buddy Hield, Lulu Rollins, and then he went to Wichita State. He was at Minnesota for a while. Then now he's back at Sunrise as the national coach. But
beautiful program that he built, man. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. But yeah, we had Coach Greg Marshall. Everybody was up there to come watch us play and watch me. And he was very transparent too. Look, we have Fred VanVleet. We have these guys. Yep. You're not going to be our guy. We want you to be a part of it, and you'll be in our 8 rotation, but you're not going to be the guy. Hawaii, there was a place for me to play, and it fit my style of play. And I was also being recruited from Long Beach State in high school to UC, to all the CSUN, so Fullerton. So you go to the level where you recruit the most because that's where you're supposed to be. Yes. And most kids don't do that. Now, they could have looked at the Oklahoma State or TCU and been like, well, back at the crib, I'm going Big 12, and people, that's all they see, but then I don't even touch the floor. Right. So UH was like 100% my choice. And then by the time my transcripts and the letter of intent came around, I sent in everything I needed to. Compliance gave me a call and said, listen, you got flagged by the NCAA and you will be a senior here. You'll have 1 year to come here. So here I am, faced with adversity again, and I have to, have no ego in it. And, it was very challenging because for me, my goal is always to play professionally. So I'm like, 1 year versus they told me I could, because the academic situation and eligibility is different from D2, D3, and NAI than it is Division I. Right. So they told me, NCAA told me, and my mom, you can go D2, D3, NAI, you have 2 years, you have 1 year to play Division I. So I sat there, I pondered it. UH still welcomed me in with open arms. And Chaminade was recruiting 2 of my players on my team. So they watched us year round. My shout out to Coach Bovard, he stayed on it, and he was like, I was the one kid on the team, obviously, because I was a Division I talent, that he wanted on the team, but he was like, we're never going to get him. Right. But when I ended up falling in their lap, I ended up pivoting that visit, going to University of Hawaii, and going right down the street to Chaminade that same time. So that's how I landed at Chaminade, which a ton of Division IIs were very upset because it wasn't like vocalized that I was going D2.
So nobody got to recruit you like
nobody got the chance to recruit me. So it kind of just fell in their lap, and it was, as we'll probably talk about, was the best thing could ever happen to me.
Yeah, talk about it. I want to focus on that academic piece again that happened in junior college, and a reputable junior college. Yeah. And the communication is very important, not just for the kid. I think parents, have to be involved in that part. And understanding all the rules to your eligibility is important. You have someone who you're obviously supposed to be a Division I player, and you ended up at Division II and made something out of it. Like, I love your attitude, man. We got to talk about how positive you are. I don't know if it was always like this or it's just through the struggle, but man, it seems you have this seamless transition through your life to whatever life is throwing at you to, all right, well, this is the next one. Let's roll with it. Where does that attitude come from?
My mom, 100% through and through. Like, my mom told me during the time when I was in high school, and okay, you're getting these looks, schools are coming at you. You got to go to this route in order to still get seen. You got to play. You got to be able to show yourself. You got to produce. No matter what it is, no matter where you go, you have to show your worth. So everywhere I've gone, I've been, regardless of what's been thrown at me, I've always shown what I was capable of doing. So, now, Austin, this is what it is. She sat me down. Was like, you got to go Division II because that's the next highest level for Division I. You can't go in there and be nothing short of special. You can't, because now people are going to look at you and be like, well, you were recruited here. You have to make it evident that that's where you were supposed to be. And you have to still perform. You can't just go there and think that it's just going to be handed to you just because it's Division II. Right. So at Chaminade, I look at Chaminade as a Division I program because in the program's history now, in the past 4 years, or in the past 5 to 10 years, they've had 3 schools from the conference convert from Division II to Division I. Grand Canyon University was in Chaminade. Dixie State is now is merged as Southern Utah. And then Utah Tech or something like that.
Utah Tech, yep.
Utah Tech. And then And then now recently Cal Baptist. Cal Baptist was Division II. They were in our conference.
Yeah.
So and on top of that, our conference, Concordia, Irvine, Azusa Pacific, Dominican, all these schools, we host the Mount Invitational every year.
Right.
Which is
That's what I want to talk about.
which is the preseason, which is in my opinion the best preseason basketball team.
Man, I've been trying to get my family like, hey, for Thanksgiving we going to Hawaii so I could get this Maui Invitational.
Go
man.
ahead and go get that love, man. And, you know, let us know. I'll tell my coach to shoot you guys some tickets, man, because that's an experience, and that's what sold me on it, of course, because I was a high Division I recruit for a lot of mid to high, and you know, and I played against those caliber my whole career. Yeah. And my coach told me from day one, this is our Mount Invitational field for the year. You're gonna play against North Carolina to start the year. You're gonna play, and then we played against UConn and Tennessee in my junior year on national television, and you're the guy, and the ball's in your hands. Yeah. And then my senior year, Notre Dame, Michigan, and Cal Berkeley. Those are year 6 that you're going to play against in your time here. What are you going to do with that? I know you say you're Division I. We'll go show the world.
What did you do with that? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So my first year, you know, we played against, in my junior year, we played against North Carolina, which ended up winning the national championship that year. Okay. We ended up losing by about 18, which is not bad. Losing to the national champion. They had Joe Barry at the 1. Justin Jackson in the NBA. They had 7th one. Marcus Page. Yeah, they had 7th was they had Isaiah Hicks and Kennedy Meeks. They were down there and they were huge, like big fellas down there. That wasn't my problem as a guard. You know, I had to guard my yard, which is Joe Barry and them. And then second game we played UConn. They had Jalen Adams, Rodney Purvis, Kevin Ollie was the coach at the time. We were up at halftime, ended up losing by 7 to UConn on national television. Third game we lose to Tennessee, Grant Williams, Admiral Schofield. They had squad, man. They had a tough squad, and we ended up losing to them by about 10. So in that, we lost North Carolina 18, UConn by under 10, and Tennessee under 10. Talking about a Division II school, right? And I averaged about for that stint, I averaged 15, 4 and 4 against those guys. At a shooting it at a good clip, about a 45% clip from 3 against those guys, and guard my yard and showing my capabilities. And at that time, that was when the NBA and the NCAA were shifting to testing the waters. Yep. And in that field, Oregon was also in that field, and Wichita State, Wisconsin, and I got agents that were reaching out to my coach for me to test the waters because they were like, the kid's doing great. Yeah. He lined up well against these guys. You know, we can maybe put him in position to get an NBA workout. They'll give him his feedback, and then he goes back to school his senior year, which is essentially what happened. And then going into my senior year flow, we played against Notre Dame, which had Bonzi Costa, Matt Farrell. Michigan, we lost to Notre Dame by about 20. Michigan, that was probably the worst loss in my college career. They beat the brakes off of us, I can't lie. They had Mo Wagner, they had Jordan Poole, they had Charles Matthews, they had a squad.
Yeah, I remember that year.
They beat the brakes off of us. I think they went Elite 8. And then we played Cal Berkeley, which was personal to me because that was a school that was in my neighborhood in a sense, in the California district. They didn't really recruit me. And we ended up beating Cal Berkeley by the largest margin in Mount Invitational history.
What year was this?
2018.
Juwan Harris Dyson was on that team. I trained Juwan since he was 15.
It's tough.
Yeah.
You're tough.
But I remember you just triggered and said when you beat them, I was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It was a rough couple years for them, man.
That was a rough stint because it was Coach King Jones at the time. And I remember him, man. He was good. What's his name again? Juwan, man. He was long. He's athletic.
Yep, defender. Yep.
Yeah, I think he matched up with me a couple times as well. He was a good basketball player.
He's playing overseas now.
I'm happy for him.
I forgot. He was in Russia or somewhere over in that area.
I'm happy for him.
But
I could tell he would have been that guy. He was very versatile at the guard spot. I think he could have played either guard spot, even on the perimeter. It was we beat them very bad. We were by about 15 at halftime. We never looked back. Ended up beating them. I think it was like 96-69. We almost hung up 100 on them. I had 16, 9, and 7, zero turnovers. I was on like triple-double watching the game. After the game was over, like we was on ESPN. My phone was like, oh man, I ain't never had that many notifications. We was being shown all over the internet as upset alert. And that's kind of what my coach told me. He's like, that's why you came here. It's for that reason.
That's dope.
You came here for that.
That's dope. The opportunity that you have at a Division II school, right? When all these kids think Division II is whack, and it's what puts you on, continue to keep you on the map, right? And like you said, you had agents reaching out to you because if you could hoop, they will find you. It's their job to find the players who are high-level pros.
Yeah.
And like kids, like stop tripping, just do your work. I don't know how else to say that, and keep a positive attitude. I think that's the key to this all, because this is life, right? Basketball is over as far as playing to an extent for you. I mean, I know you still hoop,
Oh, yeah.
but professionally,
Absolutely.
you've hung it up, and now you're coaching. And so you're going to keep that positive attitude no matter what happens at this school, the next school, or whatever else happens. That positive attitude is going to keep you with the game, a part of this. And man, you have joy, man. Like, you get to stay connected to this.
Man.
You have so much joy because you've done the right thing with this, and you've taken every opportunity to be who you are, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Like, congrats, man.
No,
like,
and honestly, I couldn't say I did it all by myself, man. And it goes to you have to be strong, but you also have to have a strong base. I'm a spiritual, religious guy. I always praying, and my family, I grew up in a religious family, so I have faith in God, and everything was very strong in that. And my mom and my parents and my stepdad always kept me grounded, because through those moments, sometimes parents nowadays are caught by that D1 or bust bug.
Yes.
It's like, my son didn't go Division I, he accomplished his dream, but there's so much more to accomplishing your dream than going Division I.
yes.
So you parents stay down, keep 10 tones down, keep your kids humble, preach positive, whisper negative, and kind of go from there.
Like that. Oh. Note that, girl. All right. That's going on the gram. All right. So what is that whole process like now, being approached by agents and becoming a professional basketball player? What is that process like? What happened in your situation? And
yeah, it's very similar to the college recruiting process. It could get a little bit overwhelming. Because people are selling you the dream. We can get you here, we can get you there. But my goal was always never to be in the NBA. My goal was to play professionally.
Gotcha.
Like I got, obviously the goal was to be in the NBA when I was a young kid. But as I started seeing my peers and people ahead of me going through that process, my goal was to not have to have my mom pay for things anymore. I wanted to be able to pay for my own stuff, have my own life, and have basketball take care of my life.
Yes.
That's what the goal was, whether that's NBA or overseas. So through that process, my first agency I ever signed with out of a Division II was Clutch Sports. It was the first agency I ever signed with. Andy B, I can't even say his last name. Andy B, international guy. I signed on the international side. It was really cool for my university because they recruited me. They spoke to my head coach about my character. They recruited me from an aspect of character, work ethic.
Did you do your pro day at LMU?
Yes.
I was there.
You did?
I was there.
You had to have been there. Yeah, you had to have been there.
It was with we had THT, Darius Baisley, so I was helping with their pre-draft, and then it's like, we got our international guys covered it.
Yes.
That's wild. Small world. I didn't even know that. Good to see you again, brother.
Good to see you, brother. That's where I knew you from, man. But man, we had a phenomenal, they put together a great structure, what Rich Paul and those guys do.
Man, amazing.
And it's a space for people to be great in their own regard. I just think that, over time, the overseas aspect, you could kind of get lost overseas. In my first contract I signed, I went to Lithuania top division, which is at the time, the Ball brothers were there. So it was really cool. I got a chance to line up against LiAngelo, not LaMelo. He had already left to go to start the Spire Academy and going through that process at a JBL. But overseas life, that recruiting was difficult for me because a kid from California, from Los Angeles, you're so used to certain things, and then you go to Lithuania, which is a huge basketball country, and it's a huge place to play the game. But then the cultural barriers, the food, the things that I didn't think about really took a hit on me as a young kid, and I found myself as like a big fish or a small fish in a big pond in a way, in a different analogy. It was very hard for me, culture shocking, and it was a third world country. They don't have washer dryer, certain things you got to do to hang it from the clothesline, so it was different.
How did that impact your game on the court?
It had a strong impact because I felt like my off-court living was not what I wanted it to be. So it had a strong impact on my own court. And then, you have a certain level of competitive jealousy that, you have between your domestic players of the country. So Lithuanian people looking at you like, man, I don't care where you're from. Like, this is my country. You're going to play by our rule. You're going to play how this. So there was like that give and take. that I didn't learn a lot in my rookie year that I also take part in, in that process as well. Like I could have probably been a little bit stronger mentally, but that experience wasn't what it was. So we cut ties between me and Clutch, and then came back to the States. And then I had a G League opportunity to be with the Milwaukee Bucks affiliate, where that went well. Got cut after a few weeks, which that's the name of the game. So my rookie year was not anything short of ideal.
How long were you in I can't even say it, Lithuania?
5 months.
You were there 5 months.
Yeah.
You played the whole season there?
About the seasons are long. It's about 9 months. So about half.
So you played about half the season, and then you decided to leave. They cut you.
Yeah.
How did that work?
No, I decided to leave. It was a mutual thing.
Were you at least making money?
Oh yeah.
You were making good money?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I was doing fine.
Okay. I was like, you out there for a reason,
Yeah,
like
No, I was definitely getting my bread.
Okay.
In some places, and it wasn't coming. And see, I'm used to the States living and how things go. And, in the States, I see my mom get her checks bi-weekly from 1st 15th, and that wasn't the case. So I had to learn that whole process of getting paid too, which was good for me. And now I can speak that to the next generation.
How were you getting paid? Let's talk about that.
Well, it was it was very interesting. I was getting paid in increments, so they would have enough money through the club, through fundraising, through different things that they were doing up front, and then the back end part of my check was getting wired to my agent, and the agent would wire it to me. So that wire sometimes for the bread can take longer than, or the money transfers could take longer than your standard just getting you a check and you depositing it. And I had a different Swift account that I had for my European money because they tax it. So it was like a lot of hoops that you had to jump. So say you're supposed to get your money on the last day of the month, you probably wouldn't touch it till the mid of the month.
Man.
So yeah, there was
So be prepared for that, overseas players.
Yes, be prepared for that, especially
and understand that process. That's good to know.
In the Middle East, in the Eastern Europe countries, it's a little different. They pay well, but you got to jump through a few hoops just to get down there a little bit. But great basketball though, great basketball.
All right, so you G League, you're with the Wisconsin Herd?
Yes, Wisconsin Herd.
Wisconsin Herd, and a couple weeks there, got released. What was the next step? What year? This is 2020 at this point?
2018, 19.
18, 19.
So then that was the end of my season as a rookie. Come back, switch agencies. I left and I went to CAA for a minute, and then didn't blend well with what they were looking for. And literally, I signed with Excel Sports, and it changed my career.
Okay.
Excel Sports, and then shout out to Lance Young, changed my experience, and got me over to Denmark, which is a huge basketball country as well.
Man. And it's a nice country.
Nice country, beautiful place, beautiful people.
Yep.
In Scandinavia, there, Sweden and Norway, beautiful spot. It's very cold for people that don't like the cold weather. But overall, that experience changed my perspective on the game of basketball because of how much they value people. And how much they embrace me, and they're English-speaking country. Yeah, they speak Danish, but they speak English as their second language. So in the basketball there was phenomenal. I played against a lot of high-caliber guys. A couple guys that ended up going to UConn. Ryan Boatwright was out there, and I was the leading scorer in the country when I was out there. So that was always fun too.
Nice. So you got the real experience. And were you getting paid as much in Denmark as you were in See? And so there, the opportunity and the situation, environment changed with the same kind of pay. And once again, we're going to chalk that up to, your positivity and staying with it and not being discouraged. There's a lot of people who go into the international game and have a bad experience and like, this ain't for me. Yeah. And don't keep it pushing and seeing what else is out there. And describe what people should look for when they're looking for an agency. It sounds like you went through a couple different situations. Respect to them all, of course. But what was it about your relationship with Excel that was different from the others that people should look for themselves?
I think it's about caring about, like, you got to be able to sit down with your agent and be able to have a coffee or do something and just have that relationship, because at the end of the day, it is a relationship. It's because you have to be able to trust the person that you're working with, because if you don't trust them, they're going to send you to a place that you don't know. But if you have a trust in them and you have that relationship, that foundation that's built, you then do not mind where they're sending you, because deep down in the intuition and in your gut, they're sending you to where you're supposed to be. Gotcha. Right? So, I think that's where I just thought about the biggest name, okay, Clutch, this, that, and the third. I'm like, man, this is fire, man. But now you got to take a step back and think about it from a relationship standpoint. What is it that they're going to be able to do for you on a more personal? Take the basketball side. What do they care? Do they care about Todd as a person? Do they care about Austin as a person? Do they care about you? And if they care about you, they're gonna willing to run through a wall for you. So I think that's the number one thing. 100%.
That's awesome, man. That's good advice. So carrying through, you were overseas, Denmark. Is that pretty much where?
Yeah, and then I had a stint in Serbia where I was there for a few months, and then I landed myself with the Sacramento Kings G League team there for about 3 months.
This is just a year ago.
Yeah, it's just a year ago.
Okay.
Beautiful experience, man. I was amongst some really good basketball players, guys that were on two ways, guys that are now getting called up and going to play in different NBA markets. So being able to see those guys grow and being in the trenches with them in the G League was really cool. Learned a lot. I was always a student of the game in those environments and built heavy relationships. And I ended up getting released by the time they brought in Trey Burke at my guard spot. They had one more guard spot available. They gave it to Trey Burke, and it's a political, but also like he's built a name for himself as well. Regardless of if I was better, I felt I was better or not. I trusted the organization's decision and we had a great relationship and we moved on. And I think that was kind of my like icing on the cake because I always wanted to give an NBA one more look, you know. And I think I was like, this is my opportunity. I didn't get it. Stay positive, stay humble, and let's figure out what's next.
Yeah. So what made you hang him up? What was it? Was it because you gave it a shot and that was it? Because I'm sure you go overseas and go make some money right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been asked a lot. There's a lot of different things that I'm going to definitely tinker with as I'm growing in the coaching world because there is a space for me to still play. I just have to figure out what it looks like, whether that's I talked to a couple of my mentors that work with the Big Three.
I say Big Three, TBT,
things like that, just to stay active. And I think my kids love me and show like watching me play.
Yeah.
So I think that there's still a space for me to do that. But I think overall, I just knew because everything I've always done, I always just gave my all, 100%. And when I was in Sacramento, I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to the organization. I was there working out at 5 a.m., just like I was at the YMCA when I was a kid. Like I was there, I was bugging the coaches. Hey man, I know they were probably mad at me. They're like, man, I'm trying to get some rest. I'm like, yo, can I get some work in? Can we work on this? Can we work on that? Can you walk me through this? So I was always in the gym, being a gym rat and studying the game. So when I was released, I had no regrets because I look back and I was like, man, I gave everything I had to the game. And I think the process of, and that summer I had been with AAU with BTI and learning the game, as far as mentoring the kids. And I had like a team I was coaching in the spring that I was right before I went up to Sacramento. And, I think that changed my perspective and the love and like the love that I could give to the game was kind of going in another place. Man, I felt it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. It's a smooth transition. Some people stumble for a couple years, try to do other stuff, and you've been able to transition to coaching, and you're your head coach in a year. Like
no, it's ridiculous.
You had BTI, the Kings, Viewpoint, and then you're a head coach at Burroughs. What can we look forward to you being at the helm at Burroughs this year?
Man, I think a lot of it is learned from my mentor, which is Coach Prince. Man, shout out to Coach Prince. He's one of the greatest in the game. Go down in the Hall of Fame, absolutely, when he's done. We come from the coaching tree of Russell White, which I know he had. So, I think what you can expect is a lot of the same, a lot of positivity, high energy. As a basketball player, I was never like a quiet individual. I was always vocal. I was always a leader. I was always a lead by example, but also lead with my voice. So leading the next generation, showing them that, to be leaders and raising young leaders in the game. I think that's what it is. Everybody has their own integral piece that they play to the puzzle. And whether you're on the first five, to the bench, to the manager, to our assistants, everybody plays a role in this tiered leadership that we have because it's not just me. It's different tiers to it. And just master it and be a leader because that's what I'm essentially raising as young leaders in this world. And they're not all going to go on to be professional athletes or college athletes. Some of them are going to be accountants. Some of them are going to be lawyers. Some of them are going to be business owners and work for Fortune 500. Some people are going to be, chefs. And I just want them to take that leadership aspect in every step of the way. So, that's the three things I expect is hard work ethic. You got to have high character. And you got to be willing to love the game. You got to love the game.
I like that one. Love the game. Man, that's dope, man. Congrats. Like this.
Appreciate that.
This is exciting, man. I didn't know, that you were like literally just playing and transitioning to coaching so fast to be a head coach. And hang on to your mentors.
Yes.
Did you watch the episode with Russ White?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I watched the full thing.
Go listen. I was like, just go listen to him because he gives the blueprint to all y'all who are trying to coach. Go listen to Russ White's episode. It was long. It was almost 2 hours long, but
I listened to every ounce.
but it was so much game in that for new coaches, for old coaches, even if you're trying to navigate this game, the things that are important. Dave Rabibo's episode as well was very educational for people who are trying to coach in this game. So got some good mentors with JJ and that whole coaching tree and all you got. So
great people, man, and I'm thankful for them absolutely because I couldn't have got the confidence to even be in this position without them. And I think it's just funny that I'm coaching now at my rival school, which is something that we laugh about a lot. So
yeah, that's gonna be fun, man. That's gonna be fun, and you should win when you play them. That's all.
We gotta beat Burbank. It's different now. I'm wearing the red. I'm not wearing the blue. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different.
All right, so this is a part of our show we call My Rushmore. Your top 4. We're gonna go big guard. Since you're a big guard, top 4 big guards all time.
All time. Gotta go all time.
Let's get it.
All right, man. So starting first and foremost.
And when we say big guard, we're saying 6'4" and up.
6'4" and up.
Just so we're gonna establish the height. 6'4" and up.
6'4" and up. And so I'm going off top with a lot of people have compared me to him just throughout the nature of my game. Number 1 for me is Penny Hardaway.
Okay.
Because especially Orlando Penny, he was a spectacular. I mean, he's ridiculous. Like in his creativity, his flash, about 6'7", 6'8". He's on the wall, blue chips.
Say when he was in blue chips, he was good.
yeah, exactly. Most kids, man, nowadays, go cut on the YouTube, cut on the film, and watch Penny Hardaway because he was special. I got to go with another one that he played big guard, but I'm going. Do we count big forward? Do we go big?
Who are you talking? Just say the name and then we can.
Because I got to go Bron.
Yes. Oh, no. He's
can I put Bron?
100%.
Okay, Bron is a PG at heart. Yeah. I mean, I don't even need to speak on Bron. I think we all know. We don't even need to. I let the studio analysts and everybody talk about it, but his game is absolutely special. What he's able to do with the basketball and what he's able to do since he was 15 all the way until now is unprecedented. One of the best careers that we'll ever see. And being able to points, rebounds, assists as a big guard is spectacular. Number 3 is a sleeper pick for me because most people don't like him, or not like him, but may not know him. But Lamar Odom, I feel like he's a big guard, and especially younger in his career, he was asked to bring the ball up for the Clipper teams that I was able to watch as a kid coming up, and he was so special. He was a lefty, being able to be 6'9", 6'10", handle the ball. He was one of the best guards I've ever seen on the perimeter.
He was an X factor when the Lakers won them titles, man. Like people didn't understand how integral he was. I don't think unfortunately his life events made him kind of fall off just from that respect aspect kind of. But man, as a basketball player, LO was that dude.
LO was special, man. We don't win those championships without his contribution. And lastly, I got to save it for the numero uno big guard for me, which is Magic Johnson.
Okay.
And Magic is just, I think the charismatic, the free-flowing, how he plays the game. He brought the excitement to the game. People came to the game to watch the show, watch Magic and watch Showtime. And he was all of spectacular. I mean, he averaged 10+ assists for his whole career, and he made it look so cool while he was doing it, the no looks and smiling. But it was like a natural killer behind that though. Like just because he was smiling doesn't mean that he wasn't going to rip your heart out. Right. So those are my Mount Rushmore, man, and I'm gonna stand on those. And honorable mention, I'll go Drew Holiday because I'm an LA guy. I got it though. We talked about Drew, so big Drew, man. Yeah, shout out to Drew, man.
All time. Yeah, it's going to be very similar. Magic, for sure. I think he is the pinnacle of big guard. Just he changed the game, just being that big and tall in the basketball game and being able to. Man, his passes are just crazy, man. I watch them once a month just to remember, like never forget what this man did on the court. Is his vision, his unselfishness, and like you said, we talked about it. With Thomas, when Coach Thomas Blunt was on here, man, the joy he played with, he did it with a smile, man. And so, Magic for sure. LeBron, I think LeBron, it's weird. So, Jordan's my GOAT. I'm going to say it like this. Jordan is my GOAT, but LeBron is the best player. If that even makes sense. The best basketball player. It does. I think Jordan's cultural impact and his mentality and all this, like, Like, if I want to be like somebody, I want to be like Jordan.
Yes.
Let me say it like that.
Yes.
Basketball player-wise, man, it's hard to what LeBron has done since he's been the best player in the league since his second year in the league.
Yeah, he's done it.
That's my belief. Just look at what he done, what he's continuing to do today. And yeah, he's a big guard. Like,
Oh yeah,
you can say what you want, whatever. I mean, I think on 2K they have him as a small forward, right? Like,
Stop.
get out of here.
Stop.
Yeah,
So
get out of here.
He got the ball in his hands to make the most decisions.
You know, he's a big guard, and
for sure.
him, Drew Holiday's actually in my top 4. I love Drew because of his defensive efforts, and it's between him and Gary Payton.
Ooh.
We forget the glove, right? I have to give it to Drew. Not that this matters, but it does. But he got a chip.
Yes, I mean he won doing it.
Gary Payton does too. Gary Payton got one in Miami.
He does. But it's
different parts of their career. And I love GP. Love GP.
Yes.
I give it to Drew though, just in his unselfishness, because he's capable of doing so much more offensively, but he caters to his teams and does it the right way. And can't wait to see where he ends up.
Yeah.
he's just kind of in Portland right now, right?
Yes. Oh, he's gonna be special wherever he goes.
4th, man, Penny's interesting.
I know the trajectory.
It's the injury.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I might have to give it to. Don't kill me for this one. I'm gonna have to give it to Shy, man.
It's
SGH.
I mean, I'm not gonna kill you for that.
Shy?
Whatever. I mean, he's different, regardless.
He's different, man.
Yeah, he's different.
He cold, man.
No, he's different.
And shout out to Olin and the work putting in, and
Regardless
whoever else bought him up in Canada. Like, boy, is cold, man.
He's special.
And I think he's Penny Hardaway. He has that mold to him.
Yeah. He's special.
Yeah, and I think he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Man,
he's intriguing, man. Just the ease in which he does everything with the game, and so. Sorry to all you other big guards, but that's my 4.
First team All NBA. You can't even say that. Like, I mean, he dude is special 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our next flow to the show is where were you in? And so we're going to bring it back to your LA dude. So I'm sure you watched the Lakers. I'm sure you have Kobe in your heart. I think Kobe's in all of our hearts. When Kobe dropped the 60 in his last game at the Staples Center.
Man.
Well, was it Crypto then?
It was Staples.
It's still Staples Center.
That's what I call it.
Center. It's still the Staples Center. Where were you when that happened? What was that impacting your life?
Man, well, first and foremost, as you say, like your personal favorites and everything. Like Michael Jordan's my GOAT, but I think Kobe's my GOAT just because I grew up with Kobe. You know what I mean? So he won his first championship when I really started taking a liking to the game in '99. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and then carried it on, saw the three-peat. But man, so I saw his whole career grow, and I think for me, that final game was so heartfelt, knowing that the farewell tour, because it was leading up into it.
Yep.
You know, I had to make sure wherever I was at, I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be at home during that time because I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be at friend's house. I didn't want to be out at a park, anything to watch it at a restaurant. I was like, no, I need to lock in because this is so sentimental to me. So my parents went out on a date, shut my phone off, and I'm sitting there on the TV, got the sound system booming from the moment that the production and everything. It was the most beautiful send off to a basketball player I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen any basketball player or any player in this sport ended off in that capacity.
Yep.
Like, I mean, everybody that knows Kobe, you know, he was a tough shot maker. He was a volume guy at times. So I didn't expect him to not get up volume in that game.
All right.
As he should.
Right.
As he earned that right. He put in millions of shots in his career and millions of hours in the gym. But for him to cap it off like that, man, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I can't even like sit back. I'm just sitting there like not eating nothing. Like I'm just watching it, like watching this dude pour it on. And more importantly, like I talked to in the beginning, my mom said, you do anything, you got to win. And he won that game.
Yes.
They won that game. People don't remember that. He had like about 50 with about 2 minutes left, and then he poured on that last 10, patting it, getting to the elbow, hitting the right jumper on the midi.
They played against Utah, I believe.
Yeah, Utah.
The part about that was like Utah didn't even know it. Like it was they were in awe as well. They were playing. They were definitely trying to win, but they were just in awe of Kobe as well. That's what I remember about that. Yeah.
How could you not, man? That dude's aura was so different, and his mentality and who he was lives on in the generations today. So that game right there was, I mean, there's a bunch of games I could allude to, but I think that one right there is like to end off, and then the Mamba out.
The Mamba out.
Yes.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, drop the mic. It's ball game.
Yeah, no, I remember watching it as well, and it was, like you said, it wasn't like a jumping up excitement every time he hit a shot. It was just like, is this here? Is this real? It was surreal. Like, is this real? How is this happening? Like, how can this man's career literally be capped off by this performance? Like, yo, you that dude, man. Mental toughness, man. Like, he's that guy, and to do it in that fashion at his house, get the dub, like you said. Yeah, man. It gave me a, you know, I didn't start respecting Kobe till later in my life.
Yeah,
I was a Kobe hater growing up. I don't know why. It was dumb. The first year I had his jersey is when he cut his hair, man. When he lost the afro for me, I don't know what it was when I was a kid, but and then I realized how stupid I was for not respecting the Mamba, and that took it to a different level. I became a Kobe fanatic after the day he did that and he retired. Like, that's when I was like, I dove deep into everything Kobe from a mentality perspective and all that. Like, became a really big fan. So that was a pivotal moment in my life for, you know, to really understand who Kobe was. And so, man, always, man, it's always great to remember what he did for the game and the legacy he left for all of us to enjoy, man. So,
man,
always shouts out to Kobe, man. And
I'm glad you converted over to the Kobe side, man. You know what I mean? That's because at the end of the day, he does that to a lot of people, man.
We ain't gonna talk about that, man. That's not what this show's about. Listen, we all make mistakes.
No. That's a fact, man.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Awesome. So this is where we flip the script. You become the interviewer. You got 2 questions for me.
So I want to ask you, from you being a do coach, like what I call you a do coach, you do things and you show the kids. What do you do? So who inspired you? I know you said Chris Johnson, but in your basketball journey, like, who inspired you? What player? What was it? Parent? Well, who inspired you? Or I'm sure it's not just one, but
I think there's multiple people. I think every piece of my career, there was somebody who had a huge impact. When I first started playing, my best friend's brother, shout out to Randall Green, man. He's the one who, he showed me that. First thing he taught me was the AI crossover and how to shoot over a broom. You know, we outside, growing up in Corona, and we just had a neighborhood hoop that one of the neighbors had out, and he showed me the game. Like, I was 11 years old when I first picked up a ball, and man, I fell in love with the AI cross. And one mixtapes single-handedly had me. I had handles because and one mixtape, so that had a big impact. My first coaches, I played NJB, so you know, like Park Ray, NJB, and so Randy Cole and Henry Woodard, man, they took me in. Their sons played and they were really good, and I was the 3rd person on their NJB team. We went 10-0. We went 9-1. We forgot to play somebody who was supposed to play, and we were 10-0, undefeated for the NJB league. We took it. I became an all-star. They picked me as an add-on all-star to that team, and then we took that team and became an AAU team, Norco Tar Heels. And so we were one of the first club teams out in the Riverside. Like, Riverside had one, I think, but in Corona we were one of the first ones. So, man, it changed my life. I was on the AAU scene, and I didn't understand it, but they taught me hard work. They taught me leadership. I didn't start. I was a 6th man pretty much my whole career, and they made me the captain still. Like, they saw the leadership ability in me, and that took me to, you know, going to high school. And my coaches, I had one good coach in high school. My other coaches, I don't think they liked me, or they didn't understand who I was.
Yeah.
And how to develop me. I had one was my Tim Denson, went to Colorado State and Cal State San Bernardino. His dad was my JV coach, and he treated me like a son. And so he was awesome and had a big impact on my life. And then when I moved to Kansas, the one who really changed is Coach Kyle Lindstedt. He showed me real hard work. Like, I worked hard effort-wise, but he showed me the work to get somewhere. Man, I'm telling you, when I went from like, oh, you're a good high school player, to, oh, you're a college player, is when he got me in the gym. He got me doing all the strength and conditioning stuff. And here's a book on how to be a point guard, and like really did it. And literally in 4 or 5 months, had me playing in front of college coaches ready to go. Like, and to this day, we talk almost every day now. Yeah, and huge impact. And then from there, it's just trainers. You know, Joe Abunassar with Impact Basketball.
I know Joe.
So Gio, who actually used to run Impact in LA, he's the one who kind of taught me how to train a little bit, introduced me to some stuff. Olin Simplest, when I was a coach at Campbell Hall when Khalil played there. And so Olin showed me some stuff with the bands and like got on that side. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's and then Chris Johnson is the one who like showed me the game, man. He showed me how to be a developer. Like before I was a trainer.
And now you're a developer.
Chris Johnson showed me how to be a developer, man. Wow. Huge impact on my whole being, and put me in the gym with LeBron, D-Wade, Wiggins,
anybody.
You know, like through all that, man. He's like, that's my guy, man. He puts me in great positions through this basketball world. Wow. And it's because I work hard though. So it all goes back to my first coaches though.
Working hard.
Just work hard and be coachable. That's what I was.
You got to.
And it's gotten me to where I'm at. So huge impact. That's on the court. My mama's voice is always in the back of my head. Like, shout out to Mom, like man. She just supports me. She's never talked to a coach about my playing time. She's never come in the gym wilding out. She just supports me. Like, that's it. Oh, that's what you're doing, son. I got you. To my kids. Hey, yo, daughter, her granddaughter, right? My daughter does gymnastics. She buys gymnastics equipment. She just supports my life. Man, and so my mom's is you know, that's my heart. So
I love to hear that, man. Because I mean, to touch on the mom part, I mean, the moms that make the world go around, man. Yeah. Moms do, man. Strong mom make everything better. And then I know Isaiah Johnson very well. His son, Lil Zay.
Oh yeah,
he's tough. Played BTI, so yeah, he's going to be one of them ones because of the development and his mental. So
and he's doing it the right way.
Doing it the right way.
Baby stepping it. He's on, man.
I'm a big fan of his game, and I'm left-handed, lefty, so
yep.
got one. And then my other question for you is an off the court base. So okay, so are you a breakfast, lunch, dinner guy? And of those ones, what's the ideal meal for you?
Oof. Man, I love some breakfast.
Okay, I'm a breakfast guy.
Yes, I love breakfast. If I can have a meeting, it's going to be during the breakfast/brunch time.
Okay, and what are you having?
What am I having? Man, I'm going right now. Yeah. I'm going to And Waffles. It's a restaurant. They have one in Studio City and Woodland Hills. They started in Fresno. They're a black-owned cafe. They open up early. They close at 3. They serve breakfast the whole time, though. Man, these waffles. Like
crazy, they melt in your mouth, not in your hands. Pause.
And bro, these waffles are fire. And then they got the omelet, so they have the little shrimp omelet with jalapeno and this cheese.
And you said
and waffles. We gonna go. We gonna hang out.
What time is it right now?
Right. No, we gonna hit the spot, man. It's fire. So that's I'm taking the breakfast and
breakfast guy,
throwing it down with the omelet and the waffle right now.
And then apple or orange juice to go with it. Are you apple or you a juice guy?
I drink tea. I don't really drink juice like that, man. I green tea. They have a nice green tea with apricot and a hint of mint.
Oh, this guy is special, man.
Hey, listen, I'm a little bougie. I ain't gonna lie.
Elevate your game, man. This is special. That's gonna elevate you for real, man.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
No question.
So
man.
We definitely got to get up on breakfast for sure. Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely, man. So you got a 24-second shot clock. Okay, nobody has stayed within the 24 seconds, so I'm trusting you to do that.
Easy, come on.
Let the people know how to reach you and anything encouraging that you want to tell them or anything going on that they can support, let them know in that camera right there.
Hey, man, I'm Austin Pope. You can support me at John Burroughs, man. Come out and watch the boys defend the den. The Burroughs Bears bear down. We have a brand that's coming up called Just Work, and it is exactly what it is. It's just work. So no matter what's going on in life, outside the court, on the court, just work, no matter what happens. That's the mentality. So let's get it. That's all I got.
He stayed under 24 seconds. Let's go. The first one. Brother, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.